Love in fairy tales, enduring forever, running in both directions, but in reality, love is so fragile and unbearable. The appearance of Han Chenyang made Chuluo's life more joyful and sad. The appearance of Chuluo showed hope to a person in the darkness, pulling him out of the swamp. But the heavens do not follow people's wishes. Eventually, the warm sun falls in the west, and the light wind blows away for burial. Chapter 1. New Campus. You are listening at novelfull.audio. A gentle breeze blew past, passing through flowers and plants, trees, mountains, and all things. As I stepped into the campus, I couldn't help but sigh, wow, this new campus is really big. Chuluo walked up to a teaching building, which stood in the center of the campus, magnificent and magnificent. The white tiles on the exterior wall shone softly in the sunlight, indicating that the building had just been painted. Chuluo walked into the teaching building and searched for his own class one by one. Chuluo accidentally bumped into a girl while searching for her own class. Oh my! The girl screamed in pain, sorry. Chuluo quickly helped up the girl. Is it important? It's okay. Chuluo breathed a sigh of relief and then a smile appeared on his face. The girl smiled when she saw Chuluo, and she also followed suit. Upon seeing the girl's sweet smile, Chuluo couldn't help but exclaim, "You really look good when you smile." That girl also praised Chuluo out of courtesy. So the two of them made plans to find their own class together. How many classes are you in? What's your name? I am class 11, just finished. Upon hearing this, the girl said, it's a coincidence. I'm also from class 11, and my name is Su Nyenyen. This is simply fate. We will become classmates in the future. They walked and chatted like this, all the way to the door of class 11. That's right, this is class 11, Chuluo said. Let's go in. After speaking, they walked in. As they walked in, some boys joked, oh, there are two more little beauties. Their expressions were casual and disdainful towards them, which was very uncomfortable. Chuluo was not used to them saying directly, oh, when you see a beautiful woman, you don't even know how to set up tables and chairs for her. After all, it's a great honor for you to be manipulated by a beautiful woman in your lifetime. You, shouted one of the boys. What are you? You think you're the only one who can shout, right? If you keep yelling, be careful not to hit your head. Chuluo said to the boy. Get out of my way immediately, don't get in my way, Chuluo said fiercely. Although the boy was dissatisfied, he obediently made way for Chuluo and her. After Chuluo walked over and glanced at the boy, she immediately raised her middle finger at him. Are you not afraid of them retaliating against you? Su Nyenyen said with a worried expression. After arriving at a suitable seat every year, Chuluo Lesu sat down and said calmly, what are you afraid of? If they dare to come, then I have the courage to meet them and see if they are stronger or if my fists are stronger. After speaking, Chuluo didn't know where to take out a walnut, and the walnut shell shattered when he grabbed it with his hand. Take it, the walnuts grown at home are delicious, Chuluo said with a smile. Although Su Nyenyen was surprised, his hanging heart was also released. The initial setting position is by the window, just in time to be illuminated by sunlight. The light of the sun shone into the classroom, and the originally dim classroom also became bright. The sunlight seemed like a kind of magic. Initially, because we didn't know each other, the atmosphere in the classroom was very oppressive. The sunlight shone in, and everyone began to chat. At some point, the classroom door creaked open and a capable middle-aged woman walked in. Alright, everyone be quiet. Let me introduce myself to you. My surname is Ping and I teach you Chinese. I am your homeroom teacher. At the moment when Teacher Ping walked in, everyone silently closed their mouths and listened attentively until Teacher Ping finished speaking. You don't need to introduce yourself one by one, I'll arrange your seats directly. After speaking, Teacher Ping took out a class list. Chuluo didn't feel very comfortable because she didn't want to change positions. Fortunately, Chuluo remained in her original position and remained unchanged, but her desk mate became a boy. Chapter 2. New Desk Mate. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Because of the bad behavior of the group of boys at the beginning, Chuluo didn't have a good impression of this new desk mate either. My new desk mate, hello, a crisp voice came in. Chuluo lay on the table without even lifting her eyelids and said, I'm not good. The male lead was not dissatisfied either, he just started introducing himself. My name is Han Chenyang, and you? Upon hearing this, I slowly lifted my head. Chuluo's originally dim and confused eyes suddenly lit up, and she exclaimed in her heart, wow, you look so handsome. Sister is infatuated with you. There are really many inner scenes in Chuluo. Chuluo is a beauty control. When he sees handsome men and beautiful women, he can't walk and wants to go up and stick with them. The boy has a delicate face, a pair of eyes that look like deep starry sky, fair skin, and a head of gray-black hair that is refreshing and clean. Especially when laughing, it gives a very gentle feeling, and his appearance can also be considered a school grass. Chuluo's voice couldn't help but pick up. Hello classmate, my name is Chuluo. The boy was taken aback by the words and spoke in shock, oh ho. Isn't that right? This is your voice. I'm allergic to this voice. You said my voice is strange, but that's what makes you sound strange. I thought you were some noble, elegant, and cold young master, but now you have become a cheerful and funny big boy. I didn't say what noble and cold young master I was originally, you must act sentimentally. I'm really being too sentimental. So don't talk to me, let me be more sentimental for a while. Chuluo exclaimed in his heart, a handsome guy must have grown a mouth. Luo, I'm here to find you. Su Nian's voice came in. Su Nian, are you also in this class? Han Chenyang said with an incredulous expression on his face. Su Nian also noticed Han Chenyang at this time. You are only allowed to be in this class, I am not allowed to be in this class, Su replied rudely every year. Chuluo also heard the conversation between Su Nian and Han Chenyang. Every year, do you know each other? Indeed, Han Chenyang used to be in the same school and class as me. Don't be fooled by his beautiful face, he always hates it. Naughty and mischievous is his exclusive code name. Su kept talking endlessly to Chuluo about Han Chenyang's embarrassing situation. Alright, Su Nian, I'm afraid of you. Please stop talking and expose my family's secrets. Han Chenyang said tearlessly. Alright, let's not talk about you anymore. Su waved his hand year after year. Let's take a walk on campus and enjoy the scenery. Chuluo and Su left the classroom year after year and moved to other parts of the campus. When Chuluo arrived outside the campus, his originally low mood became more relaxed. When Chuluo and Su were strolling around the campus every year, they met Chuluo's former classmates who politely greeted them one by one. At this moment, Su Nian said with a slight doubt, Luo, do you still have their connection? Not completely connected, right? Some don't even have WeChat. So you still greet them one by one. But we used to be friends. What's wrong with friends? Friends may also expire, either because I have changed or because the other person has changed. Some friendships may appear to be one thing on the surface, but they may not be your best friend in her eyes. Such friendships are really scary. Speaking later, Su Nian couldn't help but sneer. Upon hearing this, Chuluo didn't feel very satisfied, as she had also experienced betrayal from friends and broken friendships. One day, her original good friend became an enemy with a different stance. Chapter 3. Let's go home together. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. At this time, Chuluo and Su Nian also returned to the class. Han Chenyang saw that they were not in a good mood and said to them, what's wrong? Going out has made their mood even worse. Indeed, seeing you feeling even worse, Su Nyenyen said impatiently. What's wrong? Let's talk about it. Maybe I can help you. Don't worry, I don't want to say anything. What's wrong? The bell for class is ringing, you can't hear it, can you? A stern reprimand came. Teacher Ping walked to the podium, and the students all returned to their seats upon seeing this. Next, I would like to announce something. Tomorrow we will have an exam to test everyone's abilities. Please prepare for the exam as soon as possible. After listening to Teacher Ping's words, everyone felt helpless. It's ridiculous that someone has to take an exam the next day after entering high school, Han Chenyang said discontentedly. It's just that during the summer vacation, I forgot all my knowledge, and taking the exam at this time is completely speechless, Chuluo agreed. Chuluo and Han Chenyang talked incessantly about this exam, as if they had forgotten the awkward situation at the beginning. The bell for the end of class is ringing. Alright, classmates, due to tomorrow's exam, we will finish school early today and don't need to come in the afternoon. You should study hard, said Teacher Ping before leaving. Give a sweet date a slap, I understand, Chuluo said with a profound expression. Indeed, there are so many tricks in this school, Han Chenyang also said. By the way, where do you live? Han Chenyang asked. My home is in Guangming community, why are you inquiring about this? Chuluo said cautiously. You're overthinking it, I'll ask, but we're too coincidental, aren't we? I'm also in Guangming community, let's go together. No, I don't, I want to go home with Nyen Nyen. Her home is not in this community. How do you know? Don't worry, her home is not in this community anyway. Okay, let's go together, Chuluo said helplessly. We're leaving, year after year. Chuluo waved to Su year after year. Su Nyen also returned and said, Goodbye, Luo Luo. See you tomorrow. So Chuluo and Han Chenyang walked out of the campus together, and on the way, Han Chenyang kept chatting with Chuluo. Han Chenyang's mouth is like a bottomless black hole, able to chatter endlessly. Chuluo was on the road and had been forced by him, but finally couldn't bear it anymore. Han Chenyang, were you a parrot in your previous life? Otherwise, how could you keep talking and talking so much? Your ears are almost bursting. No, I wasn't a parrot in my previous life. Besides, if I didn't speak and you didn't speak, wouldn't the atmosphere be too quiet and boring? This is an active and lively atmosphere, Han Chenyang said innocently. What an active atmosphere, you're a bit too active. To be precise, you're not called an active atmosphere. I feel like you're constantly pushing around like a radio. Did I go too far? I don't think so. Seeing Han Chenyang talking again, Chuluo finally became afraid. Brother, I'm begging you, don't say anything, Chuluo said almost with a pleading tone. Falling. A gentle female voice came in. Mom. Chuluo rushed over as if grabbing a life-saving straw. Don't forget to say to Han Chenyang, goodbye, let's talk about anything tomorrow. Let's talk about it tomorrow. After speaking, Chuluo went home with his mother. Han Chenyang couldn't help but feel a sense of envy as he watched them. It seems that her mother really loves her, Han Chenyang murmured. At the beginning of chapter 4, I really envy you. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After watching them leave, Han Chenyang didn't immediately go home. Instead, he wandered around the path for a while. After all, he didn't want to go back to that house. Luo Luo, how is the new campus? Chuluo's mother said gently to Chuluo. It's great, the new campus is very big and beautiful, and the classmates and teachers are also very good. That's good. In their conversation, Chuluo's mother has always been gentle and patient in listening to Chuluo's answers. Let's have dinner, I have prepared our favorite braised fish for Chuluo, my mother said with a smile to Chuluo. Wow, it smells so good. Mom's cooking skills are really good. Chuluo's mouth watered with envy. At the dining table, my mother occasionally picked up dishes for Chuluo. Although Chuluo always said no, no, she would pick them herself. In my mother's eyes, Chuluo was always a child. It can be seen that the atmosphere in their home is very harmonious. Why did you come back so late today? Did you go to another place to hang out again? A harsh questioning voice came. No, Han Chenyang argued. I also learned to lie. See if I don't kill you unfilial son. The man raised his hand. Pop. There was a loud slap. Han Chenyang's face immediately turned red and swollen. With a knock on the door, a woman walked in. She immediately cursed at the scene and said, "What do you mean, Han? Beating your son again? Do you have a conscience? He's your biological son." The man immediately became angry when he heard his insults. What qualifications do you have to say about me? You don't care about your own biological son every day, only come 2 or 3 times a month. You only have a job in your eyes, don't you? The family doesn't care at all, leaving my son at home every day and letting me manage him alone. How can you be a mother? The man cursed loudly. How can I support you if I don't work? Do you have to eat and die like you do every day? Let me show you my son for a while, and you'll see him like this. Are you still his biological father? The woman retorted, unwilling to be outdone. Han Chenyang heard their argument and silently returned to his own room. He really envied Chuluo in his heart, envying her for having a good mother. He closed his door, but his parents were still arguing endlessly. He is really noisy and restless. Every argument they made was like a sharp knife piercing his heart, making it impossible for him to breathe. He hopes he can grow up quickly and escape this place, escape this home that makes him sad, and unbearable. No, in his eyes, this may not even be home. It's like a maze, with roads everywhere, but you can't escape and can only stay here helplessly, walking step by step helplessly. Han Chenyang was hungry, but no one cooked for him. Han Chenyang clicked on his phone and found a delivery app to randomly order a takeout. Then he threw his phone onto the table. Mimi, a cute little cat, walked out from under the table. That little cat is Snow-White, with a lot of fur, like a round ball. What's special about his eyes is that they have different pupils. One blue and one green. Blue eyes seem to hold vast oceans, while green eyes resemble dense forests. Han Chenyang picked up the kitten with one hand and masturbated it. It can be seen that this cat has a very good hand feel. Mimi, now you're the only one accompanying me, Han Chenyang said sorrowfully. Although the cat couldn't understand what Han Chenyang was saying, it felt that his mood was very sad. The cat meowed a few times to Han Chenyang. Either comforting or acting coquettishly. Han Chenyang looked at the cat meowing and his mood improved, and he also laughed. Chapter 5. Exams. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Report. A hurried and urgent male voice came. Teacher Ping turned to the boy and said, "You're late, Han Chenyang." Han Chenyang quickly explained, "I'm sorry, teacher. I helped an old lady cross the road, so I was late." Han Chenyang, you're late. I don't want to hold you accountable, but you lied. That's your fault. Helping the old lady cross the road is such a cliché trick. Do you think I'll believe it? Teacher Ping said slightly angrily. The whole class burst into laughter. Teacher, I was really late helping the old lady cross the road, Han Chenyang said with a red face. Han Chenyang has been arguing, but the teacher doesn't believe it at all. The fact is that Han Chenyang really helped the old lady cross the road, so he was late. Alright, Han Chenyang, I don't want to hear your explanation anymore. Hurry up and sit back in your seat. After Han Chenyang sat back in his original position, Chuluo quickly approached to inquire. It's not my little brother, just be late if you're late. Why do you say so much, and the reason is so fake? Even elementary school students wouldn't say that reason when they're late, Chuluo said with a mischievous smile. Han Chenyang looked at Chuluo and said helplessly, I'm right, really. Ah, right, what you said is true, it's true, Chuluo agreed, but her face was capitalized with disbelief. Han Chenyang didn't want to explain further, he just said whether he believed it or not. Teacher Ping on the podium is still lecturing on the exam rules like a lengthy lecture. Don't treat this exam like a game. It's a test for you. If you don't do well, you will be directly assigned to the worst class, and those who pass this exam will continue to study normally. Teacher Ping said seriously to his classmates. Got it, the student said impatiently. A morning self-study of 50 minutes is a long time. After listening to the teacher explain the exam rules and key points for 20 minutes, the remaining time is left for the students to review independently. Some students are diligently reviewing in class, while others are using it to talk and chat. Han Chenyang, are you doing well in your grades? It's not good to say it's good, it's not bad to say it's bad, Han Chenyang said with uncertainty. Let's talk about each other. Which subject do you have better grades in? Physics. Chuluo's face was filled with pride as he spoke about physics. My expertise is in biology, Han Chenyang said almost without hesitation. I'm looking forward to your biology grades. I am also looking forward to your physics grades. After saying these words, Han Chenyang couldn't help but have some expectations for this girl. The morning self-study has ended, and everyone is waiting outside. Teacher Ping only left a few boys to set up the exam room in the class. During this period, Teacher Ping also issued exam numbers to everyone. Teacher Ping repeatedly emphasized to everyone, this exam is only for our first year of high school, and there are no exams for our second and third years. Therefore, your break time is different from that of your second and third years, so you are not allowed to shout loudly after class. Got it. The classmates were all filled with expectations on their faces. Are you nervous about this exam every year? Chuluo asked Su Nian. Don't be nervous, what about you? Su asked year after year. I'm not nervous either, do you think I'm nervous? At this moment, Chuluo was already sweating profusely. I feel very nervous every time I take an exam. I feel like you're a bit nervous. You must feel wrong, I'm not nervous at all. Okay, I hope you can get a good score. Su Nian sincerely wishes Chuluo a good score. You too, year after year, may you also achieve a satisfactory result in the exam, Chuluo also wished Su every year. Chapter 6. I don't know whether to be happy or sad. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Half of the exam time has passed, and the candidates are still writing hard. At this point, Han Chenyang had already completed the exam paper and was bored as he turned his pen. He looked at such a simple biology exam paper and looked at other candidates, unable to help but think to himself, why do they need such a long time for such a simple question? Isn't this biology just enough to have hands? Thinking of his spare time, I couldn't help but glance towards Chuluo. She should be able to do all these simple questions, he thought to himself. At this moment, Chuluo was faced with a very simple exam paper and didn't know how to start writing. It's not such a difficult question, who did he ask to do it? He asked the machine to do it, Chuluo exclaimed in her heart. The exam is over. Sure enough, some people are happy, while others are worried. Chuluo's mood was very bad, and Han Chenyang walked to Chuluo's side with no vision at this moment. Is this exam very easy? It's not at all difficult, do you think? After hearing this, Chuluo was very shocked and gritted his teeth, saying, yes, 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 yes. Jane. Dan. It's really simple, Han Chenyang said truthfully. Yes, please step aside and don't talk to me, otherwise I'm afraid I won't be able to resist slapping you to death, Chuluo said in the gentlest tone with the harshest words. Although Han Chenyang felt puzzled, he clearly felt that Chuluo seemed angry, but for some reason, he still returned to his seat. After Han Chenyang returned to his seat, Chuluo thought to himself. No, what did he show off? Is it just because he has good biological performance that he can show off like this? Forget it, the next exam will be my best physics, and I won't crush them in all aspects. Chuluo thought this way, and she did the same. My second exam was in physics. Perhaps it's because this physics exam is a bit difficult, and everyone has no way to start. But it's different at the beginning. She's best at physics and loves it the most. Although it's a bit difficult this time, it doesn't affect her performance at all. After finishing her physics paper, she specifically looked at Han Chenyang, and Han Chenyang happened to notice that the two of them had overlapping eyes, looking at each other. Chuluo quickly turned her head back and thought to herself, he writes so fast, I remember he doesn't seem to be good at physics. Chuluo began to doubt herself. The fact is that as soon as Han Chenyang saw the physics paper, he was convinced that he couldn't write it. So he casually wrote a few words on it, and for the rest of the time, he kept thinking about life and answering questions carefully. And just now when he was watching Chuluo, Chuluo also looked at him. He adhered to the principle that as long as he was not embarrassed, it was others who were embarrassed, so he kept watching Chuluo. In the end, Chuluo turned his head back first to end such an awkward moment. The thrilling exam of the morning has come to an end. Chuluo doesn't know if she should worry or be happy, her physics has stabilized, and her biology is useless. After finishing the exam, she first went to see Sun Yanyan and asked about his performance. Every year, how did you do this time? Chuluo asked urgently. I feel that this exam was a bit difficult, but I still completed it at the last minute, Sun Yanyan said with a relaxed expression. It seems like everyone's grades are stable now, but I'm useless. Chuluo petrified. Luo, how did you feel about this exam? I think this exam was okay. Yes, it was okay. Chuluo stuttered and said. That's okay, let's see you this afternoon. Goodbye. Goodbye. After finishing speaking, Chuluo wanted to go home with Han Chenyang, but she searched several times but couldn't find Han Chenyang. She thought Han Chenyang had gone home alone, so she decided to go home alone. But she didn't know how many people were watching her from behind. Chapter 7. Thank you. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chuluo was walking home, feeling vaguely that someone was following her. The noon sun scorched the earth like fire. Chuluo took out a small mirror and pretended to be looking at them, but in reality, he saw them through the reflection of the mirror. You guys are too naive, aren't you? Then I'll play with you. After speaking, Chuluo evil charm smiled and pretended to continue walking as if nothing had happened. And they seemed to know that Chuluo had discovered themselves, so they stopped pretending and rushed forward, surrounding Chuluo in groups. Tell me, why are you following me? Chuluo saw this battle without any nervousness. What did you do to me at first? Did you forget? The man angrily said. Chuluo looked at him and said, I know so many people, how could I possibly remember them all? When the man saw Chuluo say this, he immediately became angry and embarrassed, and cursed loudly, damn it, you just started school and humiliated me like this. Did you forget? Today, I'll show you something. What's the end of offending me? Chuluo didn't panic at all when she saw the man say this, because her strength couldn't be underestimated, and in her eyes, they were like ants and nothing to be afraid of. I really want to die. Anyway, I'm not happy today either. Since you're looking for trouble, I'll stay with you until the end. Chuluo thought to herself, and the excitement on her face couldn't be hidden. Stop it, are you trying to pick a fight? Han Chenyang's voice came in. Everyone looked back and saw Han Chenyang holding a baseball bat in one hand and a backpack in the other. Han Chenyang was walking well when he suddenly heard something moving here. Out of curiosity, he came here to take a look, but when he didn't look, he found that Chuluo was surrounded by a few people and seemed to be about to take action. He bought a baseball bat from a convenience store and came here directly. After seeing Han Chenyang here, Chuluo was not very excited. After seeing Han Chenyang, the crowd's aura did not diminish. They know that Han Chenyang always fights with his classmates and can always beat each other. But there are 7 or 8 people on their side, and they are certain that Han Chenyang cannot beat all of them. The first second they were still very arrogant, and the second they were slapped in the face. Han Chenyang first signaled Chuluo not to move, but he immediately ran over and knocked down a person with a baseball bat. Before they could even fight back, Han Chenyang quickly threw a stick and hit them, making them scream. Chuluo looked at the chaotic situation and didn't know how to make a decision, but she believed that Han Chenyang could definitely beat them, so he hid in a safe place and watched them quietly. As Chuluo watched them fight, he cheered on Han Chenyang. Han Chenyang, come on. Down with them. Beautiful, that's it. The harder they fought, the more enthusiastic Chuluo shouted. Finally, Han Chenyang knocked them all down and made them unable to stand up, before he stopped. But Han Chenyang also suffered a slight injury as a result. Chuluo quickly ran over. Han Chenyang, are you okay? Do you want to go to the hospital? Chuluo asked anxiously. Is I that delicate, young master? And if I want to go to the hospital, it's them who are more seriously injured than me. They deserve it. After speaking, Chuluo quickly took out a band gap from her backpack. What are you doing? What do you think I can do? I must be helping you stick your wound, otherwise it would be too ugly, Chuluo said seriously. Han Chenyang felt speechless as he watched Chuluo cover his small injury with a pink bandage, but still thanked Chuluo. To thank you for saving me, why don't you go home with me for lunch? My mother's food is so delicious, Chuluo said with a smile. That's not very good, is it? Han Chenyang was about to refuse, but Chuluo had already grabbed his hand and led him running on the path. Chapter 8. Slightly Absurd. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lao Ping is here, a classmate shouted loudly. That's right, Lao Ping refers to Teacher Ping. Seeing this, everyone sat quietly back in their seats. Teacher Ping walked to the door, clutching a thick stack of test papers with a displeased expression on his face, and kept looking at his classmates. Seeing Teacher Ping's expression, everyone held their breath and dared not breathe. After the class was very quiet, Teacher Ping walked to the podium. Say it, keep talking, I'll just watch you say it. Don't worry about your grades. If you get that score, you still have the intention to keep being chaotic here. After speaking, Teacher Ping slammed the test paper heavily onto the podium, wrapped his arms around his hands, and quietly looked at the students under the podium. Alright, since you're not talking anymore, I'll start talking, said the teacher with a slight decrease in anger. She looked around and fixed her gaze on Han Chenyang and Chuluo. Classmates, some people in our class don't say anything if their grades are not good. After all, their grades are the same regardless of the subject. But we have 2 lucky grades, one is ups and downs, one is in the sky and the other is underground, focusing on each student's own studies. Teacher Ping looked at Han Chenyang and Chuluo and said. The classmates looked at Han Chenyang and Chuluo with Teacher Ping's gaze, and they seemed to understand that what the teacher was saying made them feel ashamed and composed. Alright, let's ask these 2 students to stand up and let's see which 2 they are. Without the teacher having to clarify who it was, they stood up on their own. The teacher looked at the 2 of them with sighs and said to them, to be honest, your deviation from the subject is a bit too serious. Let's talk about you first, Chuluo. You can reach 93 in physics, which is actually quite good. After all, physics is a bit difficult this time. Chuluo was quite happy to hear Teacher Ping say this. But I'm curious, how did you get a score of 18 in biology? Other grades are just average, right? Just these 2 subjects' grades are too outrageous. After speaking, the classmates all giggled, and Han Chenyang did the same. Han Chenyang, don't laugh either. Look at you again. You can reach 91 in biology and 21 in physics. Can you tell me how you took the exam? After speaking, Teacher Ping was infuriated and laughed at by these two treasures. Otherwise, why are you sitting at the same desk? One physics expert is not good, and the other biology expert is not good at physics. Then, Teacher Ping gave them a suggestion. You two should complement each other, and it happens that you can improve your grades in both subjects. At the end, Teacher Ping couldn't help but sigh, I've been teaching students for so many years. I've seen those who are biased, I've never seen those who are so biased. You guys hurry up and sit down, said Teacher Ping, quickly waving his hand to let them sit down. They sat down and didn't stop, just starting a fight mode. I'm laughing to death. I've never seen you take the physics exam for 21 in my life. Chuluo pointed at Han Chenyang and said. Ah, that's right. You can score 19 in biology, so amazing. I've heard of it in this lifetime, Han Chenyang retorted. That's also stronger than you. They're all half a pound, don't mock anyone. A chalk tip was thrown over and hit Chuluo's head as he spoke. Still talking, do you mean you did that on the exam? Teacher Ping said with a hint of anger. Teacher, I was wrong. I won't dare next time, Chuluo quickly begged for mercy. Let's not take this as an example. I understand, teacher. Han Chenyang gloated and said, look, I've been sanctioned, I'm laughing to death. Chuluo saw Han Chenyang gloating like this and said angrily, laugh a hammer. If you were the one being punished, could you still laugh? Han Chenyang saw that Chuluo was really angry, so he stopped mocking. Oh, are you angry? Han Chenyang asked. What's wrong with me without me? Chuluo said with a bit of a strange tone. Han Chenyang guessed that Chuluo must have been angry, so he coaxed him kindly, all right, don't be angry. How about treating you to ice cream after school? Chuluo is also a person with a sense of propriety, and when he saw Han Chenyang doing this, he agreed. Do you keep your word? Chuluo said with some uncertainty. Definitely, do I look like someone who doesn't keep his word? Chuluo thought for a moment and confirmed what Han Chenyang had just said. Han Chenyang suddenly felt a chill in his heart, not realizing that he was such a person in Chuluo's eyes. After Teacher Ping finished talking about those students with poor grades, he praised the students with good grades. Our class's top student, Han Chenyang, who was the top student in the entire grade on this exam, scored a total of 998 points. After speaking, Teacher Ping also applauded for Han Chenyang, and the students also applauded for Han Chenyang. But Han Chenyang seemed expressionless, as if she had become accustomed to it. Perhaps in his eyes, being ranked first in the middle school entrance examination is already commonplace and not worth applauding or being happy about. Teacher Ping praised Qian Heching and also praised Su Nianian, the second in the class. Su Nianian did very well in the exam, only 9 points behind Qian Heching, ranking 4th in the school. Everyone applauded and congratulated her. Although Su has been doing very well in the exams every year, there is no sign of her happiness on her face, but rather a bit of unhappiness. After all, in Su Nianyan's school in the past, she was always the first in her grade and class. This time, she suddenly fell to the second place in the class, which threatened her reputation as a top student beauty. She made up her mind to surpass him in the next exam and regain her original reputation. But the exam was so ordinary that I fell into my heart and said crazily. Every year, she said that the exam was so ordinary. That's what she said. It's so ordinary in the eyes of Shuaba world. It's so ordinary. I don't deserve it. Chapter 9. I will open a new world door for you. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After the exam, the students officially started their high school life. Teacher Ping came very early, even earlier than her classmates. Some students just walked to the classroom door and saw Teacher Ping in the classroom. They immediately restrained their smiles and became more formal. Although Teacher Ping appears to be a very strict teacher on the surface, she does not want her students to be afraid. Every time she is mentioned, she always portrays a stern and fierce image. So after the students came to the classroom one by one, Teacher Ping gave them several class rules. I see that everyone in our class is almost here, so I will explain our class rules to everyone. Perhaps it was Teacher Ping who exuded a majestic demeanor, and her classmates were all listening attentively, afraid of being criticized by her sudden name. Firstly, in my classroom, no one is allowed to cause trouble or violate classroom discipline. If anyone dares to violate it, it will be treated with a ruler, said Teacher Ping seriously. After listening, the students were all frightened and didn't want to offend this old witch. Secondly, besides obeying classroom discipline, I don't care what you do in your spare time, even if the teacher does what you want to do, as long as it doesn't affect the teacher. The students breathed a sigh of relief after listening. Thirdly, during morning self-study and evening self-study, I will come to check on you from time to time. It's best for you to be obedient, otherwise you will feel better, Teacher Ping said rudely. Alright, your other teachers are coming to teach you now. After Teacher Ping left, the students began to let themselves go again. What do you think our new teacher will look like? Chuluo asked. I don't know, but as long as it's not as fierce as Lao Ping, Han Chenyang said perfunctorily. After speaking, Han Chenyang yawned. At first sight of Han Chenyang being so uninteresting, I stopped talking to him and stared at the scenery outside the window in a daze. Although it is now 6 or 7 o'clock, the sun is gradually rising, and the faint light is gradually emerging. The surrounding clouds have formed different colors. The sky is also divided into different regions. Light yellow is like gold, light pink is delicate and charming, and light purple is tender like water. Indeed, the morning and evening sky is the most beautiful in a day. Chuluo looked out the window and was lost in the scenery. Fortunately, Han Chenyang next to her reminded her that the teacher had arrived. As soon as the teacher entered the classroom, he received waves of astonishment from his classmates. The teacher belongs to the kind of gentle and sweet girl, with not too delicate facial features but fair skin. She has half-shouldered hair and is wearing a white dress with lace and light makeup, giving people a very gentle feeling. Hello classmates, I am your new English teacher with the surname Tian. You can call me Teacher Tian or Xiao Tian. Teacher Tian's voice is also very sweet. Overall, Teacher Tian left a good impression on her classmates. But they won't be good the next second. Teacher Tian surprisingly asked them to introduce themselves one by one. Everyone was immediately sweating profusely, especially at the beginning, and her poor English didn't know how to solve this crisis. She watched her classmates introduce themselves one by one, and soon it was her turn. Hello, my name is Chuluo, I play badminton. I am 16 years old. After speaking, Chuluo sat down awkwardly. Chuluo thought that Han Chenyang would also feel awkward and unable to speak, but she didn't expect Han Chenyang's fluent English introduction to shock her. No, your English is so good. Chuluo's small head asked a big question. No, you think everyone is the same as you, except for the Department of Physics and Surgery. It's not possible, Han Chenyang said disdainfully. Although Chuluo was very angry, she couldn't refute it. After all, what he said was true. Apart from being very skilled in physics, all other subjects were average. But on the other hand, if your English is so bad, you can ask me to help you with your English, Han Chenyang said with a playful expression on his face. Cut, who needs your tutoring? Chuluo said with a proud expression on her face. Alright, I can help you improve your English for free on a regular basis. The weasel's New Year greeting to the chicken was not well intentioned. It must have been premeditated, right? Chuluo doesn't believe Han Chenyang would be so kind. But Han Chenyang only smiled and said, it's just a small request. What? You can accompany me to and from school every day, Han Chenyang said to Chuluo with a pleading tone. So simple. Well, it's just that simple, I don't want to be alone all the time. The atmosphere became sad as she spoke. Upon hearing his words, Chuluo guessed that Han Chenyang must have a story and agreed. Okay, I promise you. The girl's smile was like a redeeming light, illuminating his unbearable darkness. The boy smiled from the bottom of his heart, thanking the girl sincerely. That girl will draw a perfect ending to his unbearable past. And that boy will also bear everything for that girl. Chapter 10. Fighting. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chuluo thinks her high school life is very boring. She wakes up in the morning to study at school, returns home for lunch at noon, then comes back in the afternoon to continue studying, and then goes home in the evening. She is daydreaming in all other classes except for listening attentively in Lao Ping's class. Perhaps only at the end of class can the beginner feel a little bit of freedom. After the second class today, Chuluo and Su Nyenyen suddenly learned from others' conversations that there was a conflict today and it seemed like they were going to use force to resolve it. And Chuluo adhered to the principle of eating melons and Su ran to the place they said year after year. Actually, Su Nyenyen doesn't really like eating melons, but Chuluo likes them, so she accompanies Chuluo to go. After they arrived at that place, they indeed saw a group of people eating melons around. After she saw it clearly, she saw a familiar figure. It's Han Chenyang. Chuluo shouted loudly. And Han Chenyang also heard Chuluo's voice, looked up, and indeed saw Chuluo's figure, while he only smiled at Chuluo. Chuluo saw this scene and wanted to go up and pull them apart, but was stopped by Su Nyenyen. Why are you stopping me? Every year. Chuluo shouted anxiously. If you go out so rashly to stop them, it may not have any effect, but it will actually implicate them, Su Nyenyen calmly analyzed. Upon hearing Su Nyenyen's words, Chuluo's originally restless heart also calmed down. Although Chuluo knew Han Chenyang's strength was not small, he still worried about him. So Chuluo and Su year after year squeezed into the crowd to see their situation more clearly. They learned from the crowd that the reason for their conflict was that the boy accidentally spilled water on another boy while walking. The boy had already apologized to the boy, but the boy still refused to let go. The boy demanded compensation from the boy, so the boy transferred money to him. However, the boy still refused to accept it afterwards. Han Chenyang couldn't stand the boy's behavior, so he kindly persuaded him a few words. Unexpectedly, the boy scolded Han Chenyang and even called one of his good brothers, so they had a conflict. In fact, in Chuluo's heart, if she encounters such a person, she will directly reward him with a big challenge and teach him how to be a good person. But that boy has already apologized and even lost money, it was that boy who went too far. How on earth can you give up easily? The boy asked. Since you did something wrong, kneel down and kowtow to me twice, and I'll forgive you, the boy sneered. Don't bully people too much, the boy gritted his teeth and said. Then use the comparison of strength. After speaking, the group of boys started fighting. The onlookers were extremely excited when they saw this, and some ran to tell the teacher. The scene was extremely chaotic. When Chuluo saw such a chaotic scene, he originally wanted to stop it, but then thought about whether it was appropriate. He decided to turn his head to find the teacher, but unfortunately, he was hit on the head by that group of boys with something. At that moment, Chuluo was completely stunned. She watched as blood trickled down her head, her brain crashing, and she stood there dumbfounded. Standing next to her, Su Nyenyen was so frightened that he dialed 120. Han Chenyang, who was in a melee, also saw the blood flowing from Chuluo in her head, and he became angry directly. That was his strength. He swung his fist towards the face of the boy who had just hit his head, and added a few more kicks. The boy who had only begged for mercy, obviously Han Chenyang had no intention of letting this boy go. Until a group of teachers and principals arrived here and stopped them. At this point, Chuluo had already passed out. Fortunately, the ambulance arrived here in time and took the fainting Chuluo and the injured boy to the hospital. And the other boys were brought to the office by the teaching director for a conversation. Tell me, why is the fight going on so badly and endangering the lives of others? Do you know that doing so is illegal? Said the teaching director angrily. Han Chenyang was about to say it, but the boy took the lead. The boy told the teaching director the ins and outs of this matter. The teaching director became even angrier after learning about it. Criticizing the group of troublemakers harshly, he said, "Overall, this matter is your fault. No matter what, you should handle it calmly. Once you take action, it will be your fault." And that group of boys also entered in the left ear and exited in the right ear. Obviously, the words of the teaching director were not taken seriously. The teaching director was angry when he saw that they didn't know how to repent and said, "I originally wanted to start over from scratch, but it seems that you don't know how to restrain yourself. So, you can invite your parents to give me a punishment and 1,000 words of self-criticism, not a single word is allowed to be wrong. If you don't want to listen, then I will call your parents to see if they listen." After speaking, the teaching director kicked out the group of troublemakers. After resolving their matter, he came to resolve the matter between Han Chenyang and the boy again. "Gu Lin, how many times have you been picking a fight with me?" the teaching director said helplessly. The boy named Gu Lin said, "Director, what did you say I did wrong about this? I should apologize to them and also give them money. But in the end, they asked me to kneel down and kowtow to them. This would mean that no one would agree, right? If they didn't agree, they would still take action, and this is self-defense. Yes, this belongs to legitimate defense, but you also know them. They are like a group of ruffians, who can't control themselves even if they look for trouble every day. You even manage to provoke them. They definitely won't give up easily. Then continue fighting against them. What kind of fighting arena do you think this is? How could the school let you act recklessly?" In the end, there was no other choice but to persuade them with kind words from the teaching director. "I tried to persuade them, but they still have to call their parents. But Han Chenyang is very painful. When he saw Chuluo injured, he felt heartbroken and angry. He doesn't want to see Chuluo get injured, he is very worried about Chuluo." Afterwards, Gu Lin expressed gratitude to Han Chenyang. Therefore, they also became very close brothers.